started. Nice to see everyone this morning.
Is it Brian?
Rod.
Rod. Yeah, so.
Okay, well, welcome.
Regular peppers.
Welcome to our March 9th meeting. And let's get started, please, by joining me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance, right on back for them.
To the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That was a fluke. I had no idea we wouldn't have had a flag. All right, if you notice that on your table, we've given you a number of handouts. One is the menu. If you would please use just that menu only. We made an agreement with IHOP that we will be using that menu in order to, for our group. They do a great job, and we want to make sure that we're partners in this, we're partners together. The other thing that you're going to see a number of things, but what I want to make reference to is the values of the Georgia Democratic Committee. If you would please take those out and join me in reciting our 10 values, and they'll be shown up there on the screen as well. And I'll start by saying Georgia Democrats, and if you can join me in reciting the values. And so we'll start with the first one, Georgia Democrats. Number 2, Georgia Democrats believe that good decisions by our government promote economic security for all Georgians. Georgia Democrats believe that creation of good jobs for all Georgians is our top priority. Georgia Democrats believe that all students should have access to a high-quality public education. Georgia Democrats believe that access to quality, affordable health care is a basic human right. Georgia Democrats
Believe that it is our responsibility to leave our children and grandchildren an earth that is safe and livable for future generations.
Georgia Democrats believe all our citizens have the right to safety and security. Georgia Democrats believe the fundamental role of government is to provide for the national security. Georgia Democrats believe in and uphold every citizen's right to equal and impartial justice under the law. And number 10, Georgia Democrats believe it is a privilege to serve in an elected office, and all who serve should be held to the highest standards. Raise your pom-poms there at every table. Yes! Proud to be a Georgia Democrat.
Yeah.
Yes! Those principles are what we hold ourselves to. We've made copies, and we'll have copies at every meeting. If you wish to take that card with you, please do so. If you wish to take more, we have them at headquarters, and we'll be proud to get more as we need them. Now, do we have any visitors? Yes, we have visitors. Yeah, just give them a big wah-wah. If you can stand up, please, and tell us who you are. Come on, don't be shy. You're a Democrat, don't be shy.
You talk.
I'm
from San Francisco, California. We're
Where's your pom-pom, Cheryl?
visiting my in-laws.
We're visiting my family who lives in the area. And we're here for a month or two.
Yay! Welcome. Who's next?
Oh, my name is Nalalo Ashapawa. I just moved here like 4 or 5 days ago, and my daughter told me I need to come here to make it.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Thompson. I told Chris Majors, who I encouraged to come to the first couple of meetings. And Peter Lewin, that's my government teacher from high school. Not the highest wages class, maybe second highest grade. I'm sore about that.
Thank you for coming. Yes.
I'm Teresa Tomlinson, I'm from Columbus, Georgia, and very much look forward to speaking to you.
Over here to my left.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alexa Paulez. I was invited here by Dennis. I've lived in Vail for a few years now, and I'm glad to be here.
Hey, good morning. My name is David Valadez. I'm married to Dennis, and I'm coming here for like 25 years. I grew up from Mexico, and I like to come here and go to everybody. So.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. We hope that you continue to come. If you need us for anything, our headquarters is located down the street on 185 Cathy Avenue, and we're staffed there Monday through Friday. Now that's for our new people. And you know how I do things. I'll need everyone, because we haven't seen you in 30 days. Some of you I haven't seen in 30 days. And so we need an old Democrat hug so we can stand up, reach a neighbor, and especially the people who are visiting us. Let's take a few minutes to do that. Take a selfie. Take a selfie in the moment. Excuse me, have a seat please so we can get going. Fayetteville Mayor Johnson. Ed Johnson, would you stand please and raise your hand? We have Board of Education, the Honorable Leonard Pressburg, would you please raise your hand? And we have our Fayette County Commissioner, Charles Rousseau, would you please raise your hand? Is there anyone else in the room that slipped in without me seeing them? Okay, oh, good, thank you. I do want to set a reminder that we are on Facebook. How many of you have seen us on Facebook? How many of you have seen us on Instagram? How many of you have seen us on Twitter? Do we have to give lessons on how to access? We may have to do a demo on how to access those things. But you know what? Our social presence has been beefed up by our communication chair, and that's Lauren. Lauren, will you stand up, please, and raise your hand? Give her a round of applause. Thank you. Okay, so I do want to make a reminder as we're eating that to please tip responsibly. Our logo for IHOP is I eat. I eat, I tip. And so we want to make sure that the good service that we have here, that we reward them, and also want to remain in good partnerships with them. Also, for those who don't know, that for our meeting, if you're able, we'd like for you to park in the back where the newspaper office is, if you're able. And the reason for that is that we oftentimes have a large crowd, and we take up valuable parking spots for the customers that come into the dining room. And if you're like me, if I see a crowded parking lot, then I'll just turn around and go to the next place. So please, for our meetings, if we can park, if you're able, to be able to park in the back, and then where the newspaper office is, and then walk to the meeting, certainly would appreciate it. Are there any phenomenal women in the room?
Hell yeah!
If you're a phenomenal woman, I need you to stand. All the phenomenal women in the room, please stand. Thank you. If you were raised or influenced by a phenomenal woman, thank you. To my sisters, today let us fall in love with the woman in the mirror, the one we see every day, but seldom truly pay attention to. Let's respect her for who she is. Let's love her for follies as much as her brilliance. She is the one who gives more than she ever takes. So today again, let's take nothing, not this moment, not this day, not even ourselves for granted. Let's first love ourselves for who you are. Happy International Women's Day. I knew it was yesterday, but you know, I'll drag that over another day. And so in celebration of that, I have a little video that I'd like to show you.
Studies have been done, and it shows that women typically don't think that they're ready for public office, don't think that they're ready for an executive or a high elected position until they've reached a certain milestone in their life of age or a particular professional accomplishment. And yet you'll see young men running at 30, 32, 28, and without a second thought. And so I think a couple things. One, with the election of Donald Trump, I think a lot of people became aware that apparently, quote unquote, anybody could do it. And there are certainly people, particularly at the Democratic persuasion, that felt if the bar was that low, then certainly they were well above it. And so you see people who have a misconception about thinking that you had to have some super duper resume in order to be an elected official, realizing that what you need is good people with life experience and some level of success in one of the many paths of life. And so you see women now saying, hey, I could do that. So that's one of the things I think you see is going on. And the other is that women are beginning to realize, because they're seeing on the national level and the state level, we don't have a single woman elected in a statewide position in Georgia. Only 22% of our elected officials are women, and yet 52% of our population is women. And so I think with, you mentioned the 2016 election, the election of Donald Trump, some of the language, some of the discussion around his policies and how he publicly in the state felt about women in certain circumstances caused women to think, hey, wait a minute, I don't really see myself being represented here. And when they hear those types of numbers that 52% of the electorate, 52% of the population, 22% of the elected officials, we realize there's a disparity there, and I think that motivated a lot of people. All of this is broad generalization because so much of leadership is based on personality, right? But to broadly generalize related to gender, women put a very high value on relationships. Women put a very high value on bringing consensus and solution making. And those tend to be traits that are doing very well right now with the complexities of the governing problems and challenges that we're facing locally, state, and nationally. So yeah, it seems like women are particularly well adept for this moment in time, and I think they're seeing how desperately we as a community are in need of them. The other thing, talked about community building. It used to be if you just raised a bunch of money and you get on TV, then maybe you could win an election with a really witty commercial. Well, these days, very few people are getting their news from the television, getting their commercial information news about candidates from television. And it's really about these broad constituencies who can vouch for someone's bona fides, someone's ability to understand what their day-to-day life is like. And that's really what people want to know about their elected officials is they want you to know them. They really want you to know them and their life. And women tend to be very well embedded into their community, into their churches, the relationship issue that I was mentioning earlier, into the schools. They know those folks. They have relationships with them. They understand their lives. And that's what people right now are putting a premium on. Is if I elect you, will you take the information you have about me, my life, my plight, and take that in with the decisions you're making at the legislative or executive level? I would say the only thing holding them back is probably self-doubt. So I would say you can do this if you care, if you're concerned, if you're respectful of other people. You are 99% of the way there. And so find what it is that you have done and done well. Promote that and translate it into how you can use those talents and those skills to be a good elected leader. People are desperate for someone who cares about them. And I think there's women out there that are particularly well up to that.
Well, let me introduce you to another phenomenal woman in our presence. Teresa Hyde Thomason serves as the 69th mayor of Columbus, Georgia, and was elected in November 2010 with 68% of the vote as the city's first female mayor. In May of 2014, she was re-elected to with 63% of the vote, making her the first mayor since the city's consolidation in 1971 to win re-election in a contested race. Her term ended most recently in 2018. She has been named 6 times to Georgia Trend's 100 Most Influential Georgians. During her tenure, Columbus, Georgia was named one of both 2016 and 2017 top 50 best-run cities in America. Her administration reduced crime by 39% from its height in 2009, including a 41.2% drop in property crime and 15% drop in violent crime. Tomlinson moved to Columbus in 1994 from Atlanta and married the love of her life, Trip Tomlinson, who was raised in Columbus. So he took you away, right? For 16 years, she practiced with the law firm of Pope, McClamery, Kilpatrick, Morrison, and Norwood, where she specialized in complex litigation and was the firm's first female partner. She's a graduate of Chamblee High School in Atlanta, Georgia, a graduate of Sweetbriar College in Virginia, a graduate of Emory University School of Law in Atlanta. And without further ado, allow me to introduce this phenomenal woman, our most influential Democrat in Georgia, the Honorable Teresa Tomlinson, the former mayor of Columbus, Georgia.
Democrats. This is awesome, and let's recognize Mayor Johnson back there. We all love Mayor. Being mayor is quite a job. I used to tell my husband every day I had 200,000 children. I went to bed at night worrying about them and got up in the morning trying to make sure this was a world they could inherit. So there's a lot of similarities there. I want to thank you for having me here today, particularly as we celebrate International Women's Day. And Carolyn, thank you so much for pulling that clip. You know, I'd forgotten about it. I said, oh, listen to that. We're talking about women running. But it's wonderful to see different perspectives now being in elected office so that truly more and more with each passing year, we're all being better represented. We've still got some work to do. We've still got some work to do. And that's what I want to talk to you a little bit about today. Before I get started, let me give a few more thank yous. Thank you to those who are officers. Carolyn was certainly you. The other officers of the Democratic Party, you do phenomenal things on top of what you're otherwise required to do every single day, and we appreciate that. In fact, you have made phenomenal difference. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And indeed, we're going to need you even more. And the others of you who are soldiers in the field, thank you, thank you, thank you. We hope that you're staying, that you're lifting weights and you're staying in good door knocking shape because we're going to need you. So let's talk a little bit. First, I want to tell you a little bit about me so you can understand the perspective from which I'm speaking today and how in the world I come and pontificate on all of these various issues. And then I want to talk about where we are as a state and what's going to be going on in 2020. Is that fair? Is that good? Okay. So here we go. Carolyn told you a little bit, and I'm not going to rehash any of that, but I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. My mom is from central South Georgia. She grew up in the Moultrie, Pavo area. Many of y'all are from the Brooks, Thomas, Colquitt County. Some real country living. But she and my dad met while he was in the Air Force, Moody's Air Force Base, and moved to Atlanta. My sister and I were born and raised there. Sure enough, in, oh gosh, I guess it was 1994, moved down to Columbus. It was supposed to be temporary. Got down there and realized I could go home for lunch. I could meet the air conditioner repairman without having to take a half-a-day vacation. Atlanta's wonderful and I love it, but goodness knows you can't get around in that place. So there was just a whole different quality of life. If you forgot something, you could run back home and get it. I just loved Columbus from the outset, and it was a very engaged, particularly very politically engaged community. I've been involved in politics literally my entire life. My best friend's dad was an elected official when I was 8 years old, so while other little girls were watching Disney movies and having sleepovers, I was at events like this on Saturday mornings, and learn to love government and understand how very important it is to our life, but most importantly, how important it is the people we elect to run it for us. So I had the opportunity to run for mayor in an open field. 4 candidates running for an open seat. We had 44 debates that first year. Yes, ma'am, yes, sir. 44 debates. I can tell you about it later if anybody wants to know the details. But it was a lot of fun. What it showed you is that citizens were involved and they wanted to know what was going on. They wanted to know how you were going to lead their government. As mayor, not only do you do all the things that you're well aware of with Mayor Johnson here, but actually in Columbus, you become the civilian mayor of Fort Benning, which is the 5th largest military training base in the world. That's why I hold a national security secret clearance, is because I was actually the Homeland Security Director for the city of Columbus, which is the 2nd largest city in the state, but also for about a 16-county area in Georgia with whom we had mutual aid agreements. So we fielded the SWAT teams and the bomb squads and things like that for Fort Benning. I had the opportunity to work with 5 of the most incredible generals now, many of them 4-star in the United States military. So I understand the importance of our military, not just to national security, but to the economic development and growth of the state of Georgia. So it's given me a wonderful perspective as to what's going on in our state and what's going on nationally and how the federal government and the state government affects our lives every single day. You know, we have, I talk about this all the time. In fact, you have some great members here that turned out for an International Women's Day event last night in Atlanta. So they may be hearing a redo of some of this, but I have a deep conviction that government is the framework within which we live our most prosperous life. Government is not some foreign object that we can pitch rocks at, you know, and be the source of all of our frustrations, because government is us, you see. It's not on Capitol Hill. That may be where they go to do our business. But honey, this here right here is government. And we need to remember that when we're listening to what elected officials say they want to do. If they can't explain to us that they understand government, which by the way is different than business. Business is great. And for all the business owners out there, I've been a business owner too, absolutely. But business is great and you learn skills. But government's not business. That's the whole point, you see. That's why we have the public-private partnerships. It's pursuing our common interest. It's not pursuing the quarterly earnings. Okay? We can't sell our roads and bridges. We can't auction off our sewer system to get money. It's a completely different model. And I think that's what we're beginning to see with some of the folks that frankly we've been duped into, either through our apathy, complicity, whatever it's been over these last few years. How is it and how valuable it is to our lives? Let me give you some perspective. About this time when I'm talking, people start getting and you know, I say all the time that Georgia was never that red. In fact, we've been blue for about 7 years. Democrats just don't vote with the regularity that Republicans do. And when we do vote, lots of our votes go missing. And so it's been a little steeper hill, right? But I want to assure you that we've got more Democrats in Georgia than we have Republicans. So I don't want to hear out of anybody's mouth in this place that we live in a red state anymore. This is a battleground state. This is a two-party state. It is a competition. To give you a little perspective, in 2014, we had an election here in Georgia, and a Republican won by 8 points. Then when Donald Trump ran in 2016, he won by 5 points. That's less for the non-map votes. For history. That's less. And then This last year in 2018, the Democrats lost by 1.5%. We're headed in the right direction. 2020 is it. It is D-Day, it's the whole ball game, the whole ball of wax. Because that's the year we're gonna flip Georgia blue.
All right.
Usually I just, kind of talk off the cuff, but man, I read this article last night before I went to bed, and I gotta write this down. Because I hope I don't forget this quote exactly. I was reading about our senator from Georgia, David Perdue. He's gonna be up for election in 2020. And I thought, well, I'm gonna read this because maybe the man's got a little bit of humility. He's taken some bad turns these last 6 years, and he's fallen short in some particular ways, and I look to see how he's been humbled by his experience. And so he said just a couple of things I want to share with you. He said that he has been the co-pilot for the Trump first administration.
Oh, no.
The co-pilot. He said that he actually has influence with this president, that he influences him in what he does. So, okay. Well, what exactly has that been, Mr. Perdue? Well, first of all, he's apparently influenced him and co-piloted him into getting us into a tariff war, which has resulted in an $891 billion trade deficit, the largest trade deficit this country has ever known. No thank you, Mr. Co-Pilot. He has somehow orchestrated, he went out there saying, I'm a CEO, I know how to run budgets. Well, I would not want to see the financial statements of the corporation he ran, because I don't know what sort of fuzzy math they were working on. But I can tell you the math they were working on up in Washington, D.C. with all of his plans of how to, quote, fix our budget. And it has resulted in a $984 billion annual budget deficit, the largest we've had since 2012 when we were in the Great Recession. And a $22 trillion national debt. So if what he was running on was he was going to fix the budget deficit somehow, well, he's co-piloted us right into failure on that particular item. He also has co-piloted us apparently into tax cuts that have caused this budget deficit and this national debt. And what it has additionally done, and this is so important because people don't like getting in the weeds, right? I mean, when you talk with your buddies and your girls at the, when you're having your hair done or picking up your kids at school, and you're just switching some information, nobody wants to get into the weeds. But let's just talk about this tax cut for a minute, because when we were coming out of the Great Recession, I think everybody in this room appreciates what a hole we were in. I mean, systemically, our economy had broken down, and there were reasons for that, and by the way, they were related to Republican policy. So if somebody asks me a question about that, and I can go down that rabbit trail in a minute, but we were rebuilding this massive, complex economy that we have, and so we were slowly coming out. It's like turning a freight train around, right? So we're turning this thing around, and it is looking beautiful. 2.5% growth. I mean, we're just coming at it. It's kind of like when you need to, you need to lose 50 pounds. You're going to lose 49 in one night. I just got it. So it's gonna take a little while, right? And so here we are. We were chugging. And what was beautiful about what they had done under Barack Obama's leadership, I might add. Fighting Mitt Romney and all them, fighting him all the way. Barack Obama showed the leadership to get this done. It's that they were building in this value and this middle class wealth that could sustain us for decades, 2 decades, because economies are ever evolving, they need to be tweaked. You can never just put it on autopilot and expect it's gonna carry on. And so we were so good, so Trump comes in and he says, well, that ain't good enough for me, I'm gonna juice this sucker. Now, I don't know if anybody's ever built a fire in the fireplace, you know, the real kind of wood, not the kind you have to light, you know, you light with a gas starter, but that's the one I have. But anyway, if you light a real one with wood, you build it, and you can have yourself a good 4-hour fire before you need to go, you know, tending it too terribly much, right? Or you can build that same fire, and you can go pour some kerosene on it, and burn that sucker down in about 20 minutes. Right? So you had fuel, you had assets for a long, warm, cozy evening. And some dodo went and poured kerosene on your fire, and 20 minutes later you're cold. That's what they did with the tax cut.
Yep.
They poured fuel on that fire and they have burned up what was one of the most beautiful economies. And I heard just the other day, is the second quarter of lowered growth, reducing growth. They're fearful we're going to head for a recession. And so here we had this thing that could have sustained us for 2 decades. Nice, stable growth, allow people prosperity, access to prosperity, the framework in which we live our most prosperous life. And they just had to use that kerosene so they could have their headline for the moment. Totally irresponsible. No, thank you, Mr. Co-Pilot. And then they decided that they were just going to shut down the government because they could. And somehow they said, well, how are Democrats at fault? You got the White House, at the time they had the Congress, and you had the Senate. Come on. Right? You know, we were born at night, but not Right. So they shut down the government. They stopped Hurricane Michael relief to our brothers and sisters who are down there trying to sustain businesses and agriculture. Trying to put our friends in Albany, my good friend Mayor Dorothy Hubbard down there, trying to put their city back together. And they need the aid that American citizens have expected and been entitled to for decades. Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Katrina, go back Hurricane Camille, you just keep going back. When we have needed it, that is the point and purpose of our centralized federal government, is that when catastrophe strikes, we're there to help each other. And they're there shutting down the government so that our farmers are having to delay crops. They've already kicked them in the teeth with the tariff war and the soybean farmers, you know, and now they're adding injury to insult. So I guess that's our senator's influence over the president. And the other thing I thought that was very, very interesting, I don't know if you guys caught this, I kind of have a long memory about a few things. And if you all remember that when Barack Obama was trying to get the stimulus package passed when we were in the recession, and he was going to create these jobs by the shovel-ready projects, right? And so they were going to be hiring construction companies all over the United States. And the Republicans were all over the airways and they were saying, federal jobs aren't real jobs. If you've got it, it's a job. No, federal jobs aren't real jobs. Federal jobs aren't jobs. They said that 100 times. Anybody else remember that? Yeah. Federal jobs aren't jobs. Federal jobs aren't jobs. Okay, so they shut down the government, and 800,000 people and families with jobs are not getting paid. And guess what happens? Our quarterly growth starts to go down. Because those are jobs, supporting families, providing services that we need to what? Live our most prosperous life. And they did it for political sport. That's the influence our senator had as our elected official. And then we got to talk about immigration. Okay? I don't know if you guys remember this exactly, but sometimes, you know, you wake up and news starts out here, and by the time you go to bed, It's something
Right,
else.
right.
I mean, it used to be it'd take us 6 months to have that much activity, and now it's before the sun sets, right? So you can't keep up with it all. I mean, you just buckle up and, hope you're there by the end of the day. But in any event, we've been struggling with immigration for a while, frankly. I will say because the Republicans are ideologues on this issue. And they have figured out that they can use our skin color and our ethnicity to gin up vote when they need it. It's a GOTV, it's a get out the vote thing, and it has been for 30 years. This is not news, I've spoken about this for 30 years. It was troublesome, it's the Pandora's box of politics to use hate and division to gin up vote. But they discovered they could do it, and they could do it through immigration. And so what was really interesting about this is, we've been tug of war back and forth on things that have readily available solutions, by the way. There are people, if you have the opportunity, you may have somebody here that practices an immigration law, take that person, get a cup of coffee. You will be flat fascinated. And the 4 or 5 things they can tell you that if we did right now would help our immigration circumstances in this country radically. Obama tried to do it with the Dreamers, and somehow, no, we can't have kids that have lived here their whole lives, never gotten into trouble, in college, have jobs, have families, starting families. No, we don't want to send them back to where they came from. So we were on the cusp of actually and unbelievably getting a resolution. Lindsey Graham's in the same room with Dick Durbin. And they got an agreement. They're ready to go. And that's good. That's how government works, right? And then Donald Trump comes in with his co-pilot, our Senator David Perdue, and he says, we don't want any of those people from those S-hole countries. Right? Not S-hole countries. What we want are the people from the Norwegian country. I think I know what you're saying there.
We know what you're saying.
And then so people were very concerned about that. And they came to ask our illustrious senator.
Cream down there.
And he said, I can't remember. I can't remember. And then 2 days later they asked him again, are you sure you can't remember? Because you were in the Oval Office. There were these senators, y'all were sitting around this table, and the President of the United States was there, and it's being reported that he said something about S-hole countries. And he said, well, I didn't hear it. Right? So now you remember that whatever it was, you didn't hear it. Well, thank you very much for your influence. But let me tell you why immigration is so important. There's a lot of reasons, just basic humanity, just the fact that our nation is built on the concept of immigration. It's the fact that all of us are immigrants.
Yep.
Okay?
Right.
But every country, in the ethnic view of countries, you go through ebbs and flows in population. There's just times where the birth rate is down. And it comes back up, everything works in a cycle. So our birth rate is way down. It's like 1.3 or something. That's not sustainable to be a global power. Now, why has that never been a problem for us when we've gone through cycles? Because we have a robust immigration ethic in this country. We say, please come in with your hope and with your optimism and believe in this country and have children because you want them to have a life that your parents didn't get to have, that your grandparents didn't have. And that hope produces this new generation, and so on and so forth. That's what they're doing to us. They're killing us with this. They're strangling one of the greatest resources this country has, our human resources. And we won't even get me talking about ripping children away from parents as a deterrent for them daring to want to risk their lives to come to this country to contribute to the American dream. And thank you, Mr. Kovac. Okay, no thank you. So that's what we've been looking at. That's been the influence that's gonna be up and on the ballot in 2020. And I'm telling you, the buck stops right here in Georgia. Right here in Georgia. I talked a minute ago about if you don't understand government, you can't run it. Now, you can be smart. An insult? Look, I'm not an electrician. I think I'm a smart woman, but when my lights start flickering and I can't figure out, I call somebody who knows what is going on.
Right, right.
Right? The plumbing's not working right, I don't get in there. I call somebody who knows what they're doing. And in the same way, if you want to govern, you need to call somebody that knows how to govern. And I think what our president and our current senator, who's going to be on the ballot in 2020, has shown us is they have no idea how to govern.
That's right.
No idea. So the buck is going to stop here, and here's how we're going to do it. Oh, and let me just say thank you very much to the folks who are helping us out, the IHOP folks. Let's give them a hand. That is frankly an example of what I was just talking about. If IHOP needed a new manager, okay, and we were going to hold interviews for the new manager, and a candidate came in and sat up here and said, well, I really want to be your manager at the IHOP. He said, okay, but I hate pancakes. I don't think people should be eating eggs. And we should just stop making coffee altogether. Well, okay. Thank you for your opinion. You cannot be the manager of IHOP. Right. Okay? Right. So why in the world do we elect people to be senators and governors who express to us that they want to, quote, drown government in the bathtub, as the great conservative Grover Norquist does, that they want to stomp it and atrophy it and all these kind of mean things to the government that's us? We gotta get out of that habit. We need to elect people who understand our lives, as I said in the video, and will go to Washington and represent that and know what government is and how to run it. So, a little bit of substance, please. Okay, here's how we're going to do it, and I'm going to wrap up because we got to think my pancakes are coming. But anyway, okay, Fayette County, you guys are critically important to this. We have 159 counties. 9 of those counties are within the metro Atlanta area, and that's where we have the densest population. And so when they crank out votes, they take us 3/4 of the way or more there, because you got 850,000 votes coming in from DeKalb County alone, right? I mean, they're cranking it out, but we fall short. And they're hugely blue. All those counties up there are blue, and some of them that weren't now gone blue. And it's sort of the perimeter Democrat influence is getting wider and wider up there, and that's good to see. So they're doing their bit with population, but somehow Republicans keep winning. Let me explain to you what that is, because you're going to see how Fayette County is actually integral to stopping it. It's called the rural strategy. Some people call it the Paul Coverdale strategy. And they realized it when Roy Barnes was in office, that he was dominating the urban areas, Savannah, Columbus, Macon, Atlanta, of course, Athens. And he was getting all his votes from those areas. But the other areas were still pretty red, but they needed to juice the vote to keep up with those urban areas, right? So they started really working those other 150 counties that are outside the metro Atlanta area. So it's funny, when you look at the voter returns from election night, it's kind of like the bill would look for this. It comes up and it's $275, $375. And you think, woo! This is my pancakes for $5.99, and this pancakes for $4.99, and how's that add up to? And you take out your calculator, and sure enough, it adds up. $300 and something, whatever it is. That's how they win. They take those 99 cents, that 99 cents, that 99 cents, and all those 150 counties, and they accumulate it, and they squeak by us every time. Squeak by us, less and less. They squeak by us. So what will make a difference in this election? We have to do everything we did in 2018, everything. And we have got to get the Fayette counties of the world. We have got to get the Bartow counties of the world, the Floyd counties of the world to crank it up 200, 400 votes. Out of many thousands of votes you count, eats away at that 99 cents on that tally, right? Starts eating away at it. And they lose their cumulative advantage. This last time, we did so many great things with Stacey Abrams at the head of our ticket. We accomplished so much, and it's getting national attention, global attention. Stacey's over in Oxford right now. She's over in England telling about how what we did. It's amazing what we did. People are bored at what we did. But we lost 7 counties that we always win in central Georgia. Minority majority counties. Right? So you think, well, there's a little something going on. But also, we, the Democrats, have not invested in those places. We haven't done what Carolyn's doing here and the officers are doing here, which is why I congratulated you at the beginning. You know, we haven't made sure that there's a Saturday event that they come to. And so there's many Democrats that are living in those counties that do not even know that they're minority majority counties and do not appreciate that they're Democrat counties. They assume they're, quote, living in a red state. They assume because they're outside of Atlanta, they're in the rural red South. And they don't think their vote matters. And then they hear on the news, they ain't letting you vote anyway, so, you know, why bother? Folks, you guys, as I said earlier, are the soldiers in the fields. We have to make sure if you all will turn out 200, 300 more votes. When you look at the thousands of people registered to vote in Fayette County, and you get those folks who are disillusioned, who maybe feel that because Kemp won by 56% here in Fayette County, what's the point? Let's just say if we had backed that up, and Kemp had still won, let's say, let's be real moderate with our expectation here. Let's say he won by 52%. And that trend had been replicated in the other non-metro Atlanta counties, we'd be talking about Governor Stacey Abrams right now. Right? That's the difference. That's the difference. So, I'm gonna hush up. I'm gonna tell you this real quick, very last thing. I want you all to be proud, progressive, pragmatic Democrats. Proud Georgians, proud Democrats. Because even though we lost the 2018 election, even though we got somebody in the White House who, all the things I've already mentioned, we were able to change the national conversation about Medicaid expansion and Obamacare. They don't even call it Obamacare anymore. They're desperately, Governor Kemp's paying $1 million trying to figure out how he can expand Medicaid so he can possibly maybe get reelected, but he's got to call it something else. They paid a company $1 million to help him figure out what he can call it, so he doesn't have to admit he was wrong. For 8 years, 600,000 Georgians went without access to medical care. But we came in the first couple of years, y'all know it because you saw it, we cowered. Don't say anything about Obamacare. Don't talk about Obamacare. Then we realized, wait a minute, this is a good policy. And it's not socialism. Next time somebody says that crap to you, excuse my friend, you tell them, what is socialism? Define it. Because they're going to look at you like this. Socialism is when the government owns the entire industry. Nobody's ever proposed that doctors and nurses and LPNs are going to be federal employees. Like, this is crazy. It just suggested that we find a way to pay for medical services through a federal construct. a more efficient, because the private market can't. It hasn't done it in decades. So we changed the conversation. Be brave, be courageous, be proud Democrats, and we're gonna get the Voting Rights Act to apply to all 50 states. Because whether you're in North Dakota, Alabama, Georgia, your vote matters. So sure, we're gonna amend it after what the Supreme Court did to it. It's gonna apply to all 50 states. We're going to expand Medicare. And people freak out and think, well, I can't have Medicare for all of us, it's expensive. Okay, well, I know how we can do it. Let's go to 55. Let's go to 50. We've got the structure to 55 right now. Let's do it and see what happens. Let's do it and see what happens. And you know who's gonna line up to make sure that Medicare is expanded to 55? The Republicans' constituencies that they think are their constituencies of law enforcement officers and public safety people, because they retire at 55 and they have to pay on a non-employee plan for 10 years before they qualify.
With retirement.
So we will have, that's right, so we have, with their retirement pay.
Retirement fund.
Yeah, with their retirement fund. And so that's what I mean when I say be a pragmatic progressive. You can have progressive ideas and be very, very proud of them. But let's start thinking about how to be pragmatic about the implementation of our progressive, because those are going to work. So I look forward to seeing you out in the field in 2020. I look forward to seeing Fayette County turn blue. And I look forward to having Mr. Co-Pilot land his plane right back in Perry.
She's open to questions. Does anyone have any questions for her? Yes.
Hello, I guess I'll speak also for Dr. Moore's family. Our concern, I'm a Brady trained surgeon, and of course Dr. Moore is too. First time I saw your sign was in Columbus in my son's yard. I'm Jerry Watts. And we want to thank you for coming, first of all. Secondly, since we trained at Grady, you know where that is. I think so. Right, so. It was started in 1892 for the underserved of Georgia, the underserved of our state. And if I didn't learn anything at Grady, I learned empathy. I learned to care for the people. I learned that they had trouble and that you had to take care of them and you wanted to take care of them. Every governor we've had in Georgia and senator in the last few years has not cared about you. He's not caring about me. He's cared about the insurance company. And so I'm grateful that you're speaking out about caring for the underserved of the state in this country.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your service. You know, it's amazing what we all do out there, toiling in the field in our own particular professions. And that's one thing I love going around the Democratic meetings all around the state. I was in Rome and Milledgeville just this week, Fulton County last night, and in Atlanta. And the people with heart. And that's why when I say that government is us, we've forgotten that, first of all. When was the last time you heard that? Fifth grade, maybe? Fifth grade? We forgot that. The government's this gentleman right here who was caring for people at Grady Hospital, our charity hospital. You know, and any number of you all who are doing remarkable things, public school teachers, you know, doing remarkable things. And we're doing our part. And we need our government to be our framework and our foundation in which we can access prosperity for our contribution to our community and to our state. It's that simple. It's that simple. No need to pit us against each other. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Teresa. Last night you shared some insights about the heartbeat bill and how we can reclaim the faith-based perception on that.
Wonderful, thank you. Yes, I'm actually, I'm very proudly pro-choice, and I know that's a subject that, I said that, a lot of people went, oh God, because it usually results in people then talking about faith, right? And so anytime people come into a conversation and said, I was talking to God and he said, I'm right. No. Well, it kind of ends the conversation, right? It kind of ends the conversation. And plus you think, I'm talking to God I was talking to. But anyway, I want to speak about this, faith-based. I have very strong my particular faith tradition happens to be the Christian tradition. And since I was 17 years old, the first I ever remember hearing about this subject, I immediately felt that women were divinely designed. God made us so that any life we carried was in the walls of our flesh and lived off our lifeblood, and in doing so, He thereby divinely decreed us to be the sole fiduciary of what we are, in the life we are carrying. The sole fiduciary. And I have looked through the Bible, and I have Googled for alternative religious texts, and I am here to tell you that there is no religious text that states that that divine fiduciary duty is supposed to be delegated to a secular legislative body. Agreed. Come at me using religion as a weapon against women. Because my faith tradition and my relationship with God tells us that He trusted women. He trusted women to make that decision, that heavy decision. And we cannot sit here and judge the complexities of what's going on in other people's lives. You all know, I know, everybody has known. I've known women who have mortgaged their house, put their marriages on the line to have a chance to give life. Just a chance. They've gone through fertility treatments that have wrecked their bodies because they desperately wanted that. And then something went wrong. And for me to sit here and second guess that woman's decision, she's the sole fiduciary. That's what God has given.
Wait a minute, just a moment, I'm sorry, we did have, did you have your hand? You
Oh,
were the
yeah.
third one, yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to know how it was that you lowered the crime rate that she mentioned.
Yeah, well, I took out my magic wand and I went, no. It was actually, as anything, it is a huge team effort and epic effort. But it started with, the prior mayor actually was the former police chief, and he pushed for a 1 penny sales tax, 70% of which went to public safety, okay? And so we could do some things that we had been, Columbus, like every city, has their particular limited circumstances, and we were particularly limited in revenue, and it was showing in our public safety. So we took that sales tax and we invested, then I came in immediately after, I moved 10, 11 months after, and in fact, the tax didn't go into effect until like my first year. They had voted on it previously. But we were able to invest in intelligence-led policing, which is basically a computer program that takes all our data. It used to be, God forbid, a kid breaks into your car at night and takes your GPS and your, whatever, the wallet you left in the glove compartment, and you get a report, right? And maybe, unbeknownst to you, 10, 12 other of your neighbors had your car broken into that night, right? Well, the police really don't hear about it until they get together the next morning, and they would turn in those paper reports, and somebody would say, hey, all this happened on Elm Street. There was something was going on. Like, well, by that time, they're out of there. Nobody's around. They're 12 hours gone. And so intelligence-led policing allows our police officers, they only enter their reports in the consoles in their car. It's uploaded immediately, so if it says, well, there's a guy with khaki shorts and a red t-shirt who somebody saw on their driveway breaking into their car, then 45 minutes later another police officer sees that person. He can stop and ask them why they're out at 2:30 in the morning in somebody else's driveway. And so it's intelligence-led policing. Also, it helped us with gang relations, street gangs, because street gangs aren't like they were with the Crips and the Bloods. The Crips and the Bloods, they used to, and some of them still do, but wear colors, and so you knew, hey, he's with that and he's with that. Well, now it's sort of like one day they're with this group, and then they get a girlfriend, and they decide to join her brother's group, and it's just fluid. They're all over the place. And we use that software and that technology to keep track of people who are living criminal lives and we can watch their movements and associates and illegal activity and connect the dots and make better cases. And so that intelligence-led policing, we did get more police officers, but frankly, like with I'm just gonna be honest, it's really hard to retain great police officers, because once you invest in them and train them, they're so valuable, and you just can't keep up. But that was, and the last thing I would say is neighborhood associations. We made a real effort to create neighborhood associations, not just watch groups, neighborhood associations. So if you want to meet at 4th of July or Labor Day weekend, have a picnic, do that. You think you're just being social. You think you're just eating some hot dogs. But what you're doing is communing with your neighbors and you're sharing information, you're getting to know one another. And those relationships stop crumbling. Because you know, Edna went to go see her daughter and her grandkids. And there is no way that she's having any service at her house while she's out of town. Yes, sir.
Yeah, most folks, I think, are assuming that Stacey Abrams is gonna run after, Senator Perdue's seat. Can you think specifically what she can do between now and November 2020 to increase her chances of winning?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm a big Stacey Abrams fan. So.
Oh, me too.
I think she's awesome. I actually, I think we're going to be hearing something in the next few weeks. I would not take a bet against the fact she may run something else.
She's like a female Barack Obama.
Well, I tell you what, she has already changed and improved the national conversation.
Really?
She has that ability. She is all over the country. People are responding to her. And so, we've got a lot of great candidates, right? But she'd be my very favorite.
All right.
Yeah, so I think we may hear something, and if she does make other decisions, which we're yet to hear about, I think I know somebody who'll be ready, willing, and able to run and beat David.
We gotta let her get to those pancakes.
That's right. And RichaTomlinson.com. It's already set up. We'd love to have you join.
I'm sorry, we can have her here all day long, and but I have a feeling we're gonna see her again. So that would be great. I'm sorry, yes, Ernie.
Yes, when I started this party 29 years ago, and there was nobody but me and two other people. We could have met the phone booth with no such thing. Well, it seems that every time we had a meeting, someone would stop us from going to another meeting. Just having time after time, we meet someplace and I got called up by the friend and I can't have you meet here anymore. So it's an uphill battle. I commend Teresa, and I think she should run for governor.
Thank you.
I'm a good secretary, and I think it's good.
All righty. So let's move on. We have some Fayette County business. Yes.
I'm sorry, just a quick comment. I was born and raised in Columbus, Georgia. We had nobody like that in the mayor's office. Secondly, she survived a cousin of mine who's on city council, and how she did that, I do not know. Third, I'd like to see her in the White House.
Somebody's gotta be there, might as well be her.
Okay, well, let's move on. Harsh, want to come on up? Sure. We're going to start with the first of our committees. That would be Garrett from Political Action. Garrett, if you want to come on up, and he's got some exciting news for us. By the way, these pom-poms, we want you to use them to generate the excitement that we have in our meetings. And for the first time, we're live streaming our meetings. So, we want to show some excitement, and you are
know, I'm the head of the Political Action Committee. When I was volunteered for this job at the beginning of the year, the first charge was to locate Democrats to run for public office. I'll be honest, my thought was, oh my God, how am I going to do that? And my second thought was,
Tell me.
I was like, well, if I'm not successful, can I take credit for Ed Johnson running again? Well, I'm here to report we have candidates. All right. I guess ideally, there should be a parade or a big public to do and a formal announcement. But if you ask anybody in my family, they'll tell you, I cannot keep a secret. So I have a secret, and I want to share it with you. We have two people who have agreed to run for the City of Fayetteville Council election in 2019. I know we're excited about 2020, big campaign, we're going to take over Georgia in 2020, but as the mayor indicated, we need you to start your aerobic workouts, buy the new isotoner shoes, start flexing the biceps, because we have work to do in 2019. I'm pleased to announce that Ms. Beverly Hood and Mr. Darrell Langford have agreed to run without asking you, because I already knew the answer, I have promised them our full support in 2019. I have told them we will go door to door, told them we will phone back. We will be out there in the streets and in the communities and in the shelters and wherever else we need to go to turn the city of Fayetteville, which is a non-partisan election. So we're not really turning it from whatever color to the other color, but we're going to get people on the city council whose names that we know and who have the same values that we have. So please, give them your support. Beverly, can you come up and introduce yourself to the group?
Oh, great.
Good morning, everyone. I am super excited about this opportunity. I just cannot tell you what this journey is going to be like, because at this point, I'm going to be depending on each one of you. Marion Wright Edelson says that service is the rent we pay for being. And I want to serve and represent the city of Fayetteville in the way that it should be done. I know that leadership is very, very important. Listening to our constituents is very important. But at this point, I'm in the embryonic stage, so please understand that this journey is just beginning for me. So I thank you in advance for your support. I love you all, and this, as a citizen of Fayetteville, I think it is so very, very, very important for each and every one of us. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. All right, my name is Darrell Langford, retired Lieutenant Colonel, United States Army. I did 28 years in the United States Army, and one thing we go by is duty, honor, and country. And not only do we have to have duty and honor for our country, but we also have to have duty and honor to our local community. And I understand what it means to put the lives of people first. Right? And I do nothing halfway, because when you understand that the lives of people are at stake, you give everything that you have to. Yes. The same thing that I gave to the United States Army, I will give to the city. So I really appreciate your support. I thank you for everyone for, giving their dedication to the Democratic Party. Although I understand that this is nonpartisan. However, I will need your support. And I plan to do the best that I can to make sure that this city is stable and that it runs efficiently, create the proper policies, and make sure that your lives are governed properly. All right, thank you.
One other little thing. The city of Fayetteville is looking for people to assist with their downtown development authority. They want 8 citizens to volunteer to assist with developing the direction for the city of Fayetteville's downtown. When you read this stuff in the paper or online, some people may think, oh God, why would I do that? But these are the people who will be making or assisting making the decisions on what Fayetteville will look like 3, 8, 15 years from now. And if you live in Fayetteville, or you work in it, or you shop in it, or you eat at IHOP, now would be the time to input your opinion, as opposed to 5 years from now when you come up with something, you're like, oh, whose crazy idea was that? So if you live in the city of Fayetteville, and that is a requirement, please consider volunteering and getting on that board and providing some input to where this municipality heads. That's my time, thank you.
Thanks, Jared. Carolyn had to leave, so I'm just going to take over the agenda for a few minutes here. Run the projector here if I can get it to work. Next up is going to be Lorraine with membership. I just want to make a quick statement here what we observed today. We have a great crowd here. We were talking about everybody participating on the local, state, and national level. And look at us today. We've got local members participating, we've got our state representatives back here, and we've got a national candidate that's going to be our next senator for the U.S. Senate.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Regular people who just come in for a meeting, and the next thing you know, you're a membership chair. But I'm just going to give you a quick update since the last meeting. Well, first of all, we have 6 new visitors today. If they could stand up, just give them a round of applause. We're coming in 6 new people today. Since our last Pancakes and Politics, we have 25 membership renewals, not in counting today. Today we have about 5 plus. New members, 11 new members for the month.
All right.
Our Thirsty Thursdays, which was on February 26th, we had 21 people attended, 2 new members. Office volunteers at our headquarters have been making phone calls to new and past members, reminding folks of our dedication to the organization. We're hoping to reconnect with old friends, supporters, renew any membership fees as well. Our next committee meeting will be March 11th, which is Monday at the headquarters from 6 to 7:30. Everyone's invited, and we appreciate everyone who brought a friend today, came in today, and we hope to see you next month. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Lorraine. Next we have up is Chandler. So come on up.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. We have a short video we just want to start with.
Ready?
We gotta change that picture, Mark.
All right.
Where's the volume?
And we're here to talk about our upcoming fundraising event Saturday. Well, we're getting super excited about the Fayette County Democratic Committee's upcoming event. Bring on event, beer and basketball. We're going to be down here at Lime Creek Brewery, hanging out with fellow Democrats, drinking some great beer and watching some great college basketball. So we want you to come on down and join us. Wonderful, wonderful. Let's not forget, this is a fundraising event, ladies, okay? So guess what? $10 is getting in the door, okay? Bring your checkbooks, bring your debit card, bring your credit card, because we're going to
Lauren is amazing. I love her. And I love the three ladies who came out. Let me tell you something, everybody. We are family. We are turning more and more into families every day. And when you can call up some Democratic family members and say, hey, I need for you to walk away from your job, your children, whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing, and come and meet me at Lime Creek Brewery in the middle of the day and film a fundraising marketing tool, that is dedication. So I want to give the ladies a round of applause. Thank you. So very quickly, I just want to thank Mayor Tomlinson for a fantastic talk. We needed it. Thank you for the information. I just want to say three things. I love the juice it up terminology. It's like, so this is what I'm going to say to everybody. We need to repeat, as Mayor Tomlinson said, 2018 and juice it up in 2020. We need to juice it up, all right, 2018. Number two, we gotta let folks know how blue we really are. How blue are we? We are really blue, right? Are we gonna change our language? Yes. Georgia's blue, right? And we have to get people out and we have to tell them that. And number three, we have some council candidates, guys. Yeah. So we have to support our candidates and get out there and show them that we are going to really kind of work in 2020. So let's do that. And in order to do that, we have to raise what? Money! Okay, so that's what I'm here to talk about. It's our upcoming fundraiser. It is going to be a lot of fun. Guys, it's going to be the end of this month, March the 28th, 6 o'clock p.m. at one of Peachtree City's newest breweries. So come on out, show your support. We are going to be there. It's going to be $10 to get in, nominal. We want you to get in there and buy some beer, but most importantly, as Anonymous said, bring your checks, bring your checkbooks, bring your credit cards, and we take cash too. Yes. We want you to come out and have some fun, hang out with fellow Democrats, and let's raise some money. We have a job to do. Let's get the job done. Thank you. I'm sorry. I get caught up hard. I am. Okay, so now let me tell you, in the interest of getting it started, we have like 1 minute. We have a few auction items here today. So let's see how it's done. We have from Lime Creek Brewery 6 of their beers that they have provided to us. Fabulous beers. And we also have some glasses from Lime Creek Brewery. All right, how many of you like beer? Raise your hand if you like beer. How many of you like beer? Oh, come on. Y'all, how many of you like glasses with beer and logos on it? Okay, all right. So, can I get $1 for this glass? Can I get $1? Who will give me $1 for this glass? Raise it, pom-pom. $1? Do we have $1? We got $1 over here. Who'll give me $2 for the glasses? $2 for the glasses? $2. We got $2 over here. Who will give me $3? $3 for the glasses. Oh, $4. beer, $10.
$11.
11? How much? Oh, $11. Oh.
And it's cold at 12.
$12 going once. $12 going twice. Stop. 20. $10 going twice. $10 going once. $3, $10. So $10 for the last. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Come on out. We are ready to party, raise some money, and drink some beer and watch some basketball. Thank you, everybody.
Great job. Thanks very much. Next up we have Fayette Democratic Women. Come on up. Come on up.
Thank you, thank you. Well, for all the people who are guests, first-time guests, first-time visitors, I'm not sure you knew what you were stepping into, but boy, is this fun. My name is Berlin Green. I have the honor of being president of Fayette Democratic Women. We are a separate organization, and we believe in the same democratic values that you have heard today. So we invite you to come to our meeting next Saturday, where we'll be talking about the relationship between Women's History Month and African American History Month, and how we tie all of that together with our democratic principles. Just know that there's a seat at the table for everybody.
Yes.
Regardless of what you look like or where you come from. So we're looking forward to seeing all of you next Saturday, and thank you everyone for supporting us last weekend. We had a very successful fundraiser on the property of FCDC. It was our spring bonanza. Thank you, Karen Rand. So
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, thank you. And Fayette Democratic Women is a sane organization. We stand for supporting democratic principles. We are advocates. We network, and we believe in education. So thank you, thank you.
Thanks for coming out, and just a brief analysis. Anyone have any announcements? Well,
good morning. Update you on a few things that are upcoming. There's a corridor study that will be taking place. There's an extension, you've heard about the West Fayetteville bypass that runs through Pinewood Studio. There's been an East bypass that's been on the board for quite some time that was originally generated with the SPLOST before the last one. And basically that'll cut through 279, or what is known as Old National Highway. And that corridor study update will be the 18th from 4 to 7 at the library. And so we really want you all to participate and make your positions known with respect to the impact that it'll have in our particular community. So that's an important agenda item. In addition to that, let me make sure the body is aware that we've changed our formula and format for selection onto the various boards and commissions that we oversee. I did not vote in favor of that. I do not like the change. But as Leonard Austin says, in order for me not to, or him as well, not to have symbolic votes that we say, no, we need your help in getting people on the board that are like-minded and think as we do. It's critically important as we continue to move forward that we get some support next to us on these bodies. What we've done is we interviewed individuals from the various communities, from this community, who wanted to serve on the boards and the various commissions that we have. What we've done is we've gone to sharing that with, or conferring that onto department heads. There is an inherent danger, in my opinion, with that format because it opens the door for, this is not an accusation, it just opens the door for people that I'm more familiar with, that belong to my sorority, my fraternity, go to my church, they're my friend, versus an independent review of individuals who want to serve their community on these boards. And when we did it, I think it was more free of that undue influence, and I think we're going backwards when we change that format. It's a done deal at this particular stage, but I think there's room for improvement in your continued involvement. Meaning, please apply for and don't let them make just simple 1 or 2 appointments. Please continue to apply for these boards and these commissions. In addition to that, I think many of you have had conversations with me with respect to my new colleague's comments. He has since apologized for that. The comments were that this is not a participatory government, and that their individual mind was made up before they even sit in the seat. It was very disconcerting and disheartening. We've had conversations, he's since apologized, but we need to be on guard for that kind of myopic viewpoint when we talk about weighty decisions and policies that affect this community. And so I encourage you all to continue to monitor our actions and our leadership on the Board of Commissioners. And so I want to make sure that that $100 that was a bid is not monopoly money. This is but I want to thank the leadership and the volunteers that are here. Mayor, we appreciate your comments very much and you coming to fellowship with us. We'd like to encourage you to come back and keep us informed about the progress of your engagement around the state. I see Representative Jackson here. There also, and I think he'll follow up on that, there'll be a meeting at Olivet Church on 314 on the 21st at 6:30 p.m. where local elected officials will bring information to you, or Q&A, or a town hall, if you will, and he'll elaborate. I won't be able to be in attendance. I'll let this body know in advance because of the previous commitment to the retreat I'll be attending. But I'll be there, and certainly Representative Jackson will advocate on our behalf and bring you up to speed. I won't venture into his territory this morning, but I'm extremely concerned about some of the things that are happening at the Capitol. He's more intimately aware and knowledgeable about that. I have not read the legislation as in depth as he probably has, but I still am disappointed about the voting machines and apparatus that are going to be changed. We need to be vigilant with respect to that. And other important dates. We have a serious issue, and I've been raising it for a long time. Our infrastructure inside subdivisions are crumbling. And when you do not have an HOA, it puts an undue burden on individual property owners and on the subdivision. Little brief background, I apologize. These are critical issues. I won't belabor the point and take up too much more of your time. HOAs, homeowners associations that are in existence, if they were in existence prior to 1983, you need to have 80% of your residents, property owners, the title holder, to sign back up to live under the restrictive covenants and the bylaws that were adopted. After 1993, they're automatically renewed. Prior to 93, if you don't have that majority vote, they go away. But when the developer turns over that subdivision to the HOA, it is your responsibility to maintain the infrastructure. That's the pipes that run the stormwater to the creek beds that are normally in the back of subdivision. when they begin to age and crumble, which they are, they're doing it right now, it becomes the responsibility now of the HOA, but if the HOA is dormant or non-existent, now it becomes whose problem? And there is no answer to that. And I encourage you all not to see your HOA simply as putting out the names of students who recently graduated, maintaining the front of your entrance way with flowers, upkeeping your pool and your tennis court. It is much more than that. Some of you have dams in the back of that if they fail, they're yours. Your responsibility as the homeowner. So anyway, I'll elaborate on that more. I'll be happy to come to your HOA or those are topics that will be discussed at the Community Town Forum. We have got to address that critical issue. It's an unpleasant topic, but one nonetheless that needs to be addressed. Thank you very much for y'all's leadership. I'm available at any time.
Good morning, Gems. Good morning. I wasn't going to speak, but you know, when my good friend evoked my name.
Yes, sir.
And I know the time is long, but for those who don't know me, I'm State Representative Derek Jackson, and I am truly humbled by your continued support and prayers. This legislative session has been crazy. I just want to give you a little bit more texture because the Honorable Thomason and the Commissioner just mentioned a couple things. I just want to give you a little bit of texture. In about 900 bills this legislative session, we've been debating and discussing. But our democracy is under attack. Let me give you a perfect example. So House Bill 481, as the mayor mentioned, that's the heartbeat one. When Kip was running, he said, I'm going to bring forth the most stringent abortion bill ever. When they say that and they're a candidate, believe them, when they become elected, they're going to bring forth that type of legislation. So House Bill 481, the reason why it's so dangerous is because now versus Roe v. Wade is a settled law, period, end of story. But now this legislation that passed during crossover day a couple of days ago has qualified the heartbeat. And the reason why they're using a heartbeat, because now they're saying 6 weeks. At 6 weeks, some women don't even know that they're expecting at 6 weeks. But the horrible piece about this legislation, 3 things. One, it was a man that's the author. That's a problem. Out of a committee of 17, 14 of them were men. That's a problem, right? And then they added the word homicide in this legislation in 4 different locations. Why should you cringe? Because a homicide is exactly that. So we have minimum mandatory sentences in the state of Georgia that deals with homicide. So here you are saying that a woman that may not even know that she's expecting, or better yet, she knows, but it's her choice. Her and her family, her God, is her choice. And so they have allowed in this legislation for that record to be open to the GBI. So what about the HIPAA law and all these other laws that protect your privacy when it comes to healthcare? Right? So that's what makes this bill so dangerous. And then he had the audacity to encourage the legislature by making a video that's never been done before. So he's twisting arms because we had realized that there were some moderate Republicans that voted with us during the early course of crossover day, that Thursday morning. And we defeated a bill that they did not expect for us to defeat. But because that took place, the governor felt compelled to make a video. And then they waited until the late day to bring forth House Bill 481. So we had 3.5 hours of committee hearing and then 2 hours of debate at 10 p.m. Think about this. At 10 p.m., why would you wait to do something at 10 p.m.? Because everyone is gone, with the exception of us. And so we had a debate. And I'm sure you all read it in the AJC that this bill unfortunately passed. So now it goes over from the House to the Senate, and it's gonna pass. They don't even have twist arms over there. That's the reason why it's so important, as it was already articulated, how we have to engage so early in the process. Because now you're gonna make a choice and make it criminal, a felony. Minimum mandatory sentence between 5 to 20 years. And typically, if that occurs, the judge is typically going to be a what? Right? So this has nothing to do with religion. Because one of the points I made on the floor was this. And I asked the speaker and the Republicans on the floor, I said, if you're so concerned with the heartbeat of an individual that had yet to be born, but yet since capital punishment, since 1972, over 1,400 capital punishments and 161 wrongfully killed in capital punishment. What about their heartbeat? If you're so about them, and it was a hush fell over Jerusalem. This is incredulous. This is crazy. Here's another reason why our democracy is under attack. House Bill 444, dual enrollment, a very successful. In fact, so successful, in 2016, the Georgia Lottery had invested $1.1 billion into our education system, which was the fuel for dual enrollment. House Bill 444 took two particular points in this measure to kill dual enrollment. They defunded transportation, and then they changed the Hope grant. They reduced that amount as well. So why would you take a very good program and target it? Because now you've already made a promise for some other programs that you want to bring on board. And so our budget was $27.544 billion. In that $27.5 billion was $150 million for voting machines. We didn't even vote for the voting machines yet. But that $150 million is towards a vendor that assisted Kemp to get in office. Now that vendor is part of his administration. There was a time that conflict of interest would get you politically killed. But now they're so bold, it's rewarded now. So they're bold to do it right in our face. So that's why it's so important. When you think about all three levels of government, from the federal, as it was already talked about, and then the state, and then the local level, the venomous tactics that's happening at the federal level has precipitated down to the state level. Right? And now it's going to, so we have to be so engaged. And as a retired naval officer, it's just blowing my mind that our democracy is under attack at so many different angles. And so we have to be vigilant, be vocal, vote. Man, I would love to tell you vote as often you can press that button. Because if they're going to bring some corruptive machines in here now, then we need to beat them at their own game. $150 million. The experts told us that this investment is wrong for Georgia. And so they said, here's your best solution, which is a $30 million product. Typically, you will go with the best solution and save Georgians, tax dollars, $120 million. But they were asking, well, why are you doing this if the subject matter experts, 21 to be exact, cybersecurity experts, came in and said, here's the best product you can do to mitigate your situation, what occurred in 2018 and 2016. We looked at 30 million, we were jumping for joy, like, yes, we're gonna go with that because that makes sense. But then when the governor put in our budget $150 million line item for voting machines, we were like, we haven't voted yet. So how bold you are. So then, a couple days later, that particular measure came out and they voted. So you're already tweaking our budget killing very sound programs like dual enrollment, bringing forth legislation like anti-abortion laws, and all this other craziness. Well, we killed that one. We did get that one. I saw Marty Harmon. I told him, we got you again. As long as I'm letting that go, we're going to get you every time. So I won't go through the entire list of all the pieces of legislation that we've been dealing with. Like I said, it's about 900 of them. But this is the reason why I get so passionate. Not because I have 3 daughters, not because I have a wife, not because mother, grandmother, and aunts, right? Let's do the right thing. Dr. King said it best. It's always the right time to do the right thing. But when we fail to do the right thing, and when against subject matter experts, against the choice of women, there's about 120 women that came down that stayed with us. But they try to censor them too. So once again, here you are trying to censor women. They have the fiduciary responsibility. I can't give birth. Thank God I can't. Right? But who are we? There's not one piece of legislation that regulates a male reproductive system. Not one. That was the other point I raised on the floor. Give me one settled law that manages the male reproductive system. There are 28 pieces of legislation that manages the woman reproductive system. How crazy is this? Right? Really? Yes. So Roe v. Wade is the big one, but you look at all the other states. So I'm just saying, we have to be vigilant, and come 2020 and 2019, every time that ballot box is open, we need to think about our future, because our future is now, because our children, our grandchildren will ask us a question 20 years from now. They're not going to ask, what did Dr. King did when he was alive? They're going to ask, what did we do? That's right. What did we do when it was our turn? Did we stand up when it was our turn? What kind of society we want to give to them 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, right? So again, I will be here. I love you all. I know I've been missing in action, but it's been under the great work.
Thanks very much, Derek, and now you know we all need to stay engaged. One more thing from Leonard here, we'll close it out. Thanks.
Sorry. I did spend, as I do every Thursday at my regular business meeting, with my wife, who's an OBGYN in her practice. And I can tell you that this isn't just about women making choices to terminate pregnancy. This is about women's health care. This is about women who could possibly be charged for homicide, for having a miscarriage. This is about normal things that women go through every day, unimaginably complicated issues that we want to simplify I fear for the women and the people who take care of them in the state because of this bill. So back to what I'm really here to talk about. We have our regular school board work session on Monday. We will be talking about the future of Booth Middle School. If you have not been following that issue, the school board recently purchased some property behind Peachtree City United Methodist Church as a potential site for a new school, and we will be talking about that issue on Monday. I can assure you, as the process goes on, one of the things that will come up in the next year or two will be the redistricting issue, and there's nothing that brings out the worst in people like school redistricting. And if anyone remembers the process we went through about 5 or 6 years ago, all those people who usually can keep their racism contained to code words sometimes can't even do that when it comes up to redistricting. So I urge you to please be involved and follow that. We're also going through our budget cycle right now, and we continually get the most pressure from the citizens in this county who do not pay school taxes to reduce our school funding. So we also have to be vigilant about that. For a reminder, all of our school board offices are now in the old Lafayette Educational Center, we're no longer on the building in Lanier, so any school board business that you want to do, please come over there. That's where our school board meetings are as well. So that's all. Did I do 1 minute?
Time and location for Monday?
Monday will be at 2 p.m. at the Lafayette Education Center.
Very good evening. Thank you for coming out. Mayor Hoppelson, thank you very much for your service, for what you do. If you don't believe me, participate, just listen to what Derek said. Also on the national level, I encourage you to review HR 1 that the council is just trying to pass. In order to pass something like that, we need to have a city, so then we're going to have to do it. Thanks again, everyone. Don't forget about the meeting on the 28th, because of beer, politics, and basketball.